Okay, so Manika, take us to the start of 2025. What were the series of trigger moments that led to you kickstarting your journey with us at RNT?
So actually, what happened was I was in Tanzania Christmas of 24 with my sister and brother who've actually been through the RNT journey. And, whilst I was there, I think my younger sister, Nikki, I think she's been on the journey a couple of years ago, and just watching her and looking at her lifestyle and Rahul's lifestyle, who's also was completing his year or had just completed a year, like just watching them and sort of having, their sort of take on life post their journey has been quite amazing. I mean, I've watched them go through their journey, and my other sister went through that journey. And I was always like, so sort of really admiring, what they put themselves through, but then more importantly, the outcome. They were so sort of comfortable in their body. They were so comfortable in sort of the post journey. And I was thinking, well, actually, I'm still struggling. I'm still not at a place where I'm totally happy with my health, with my body, with my sort of outlook on sort of fitness and nutrition. I want to be in that spot as well. And, they seem to be sort of just quite carefree in their eating, yet being able to maintain a healthy lifestyle, and then being really cognizant of, the impact of what they were eating and how they could sort of snap back into stuff because it's okay to let loose, but eating like 90% of the time clean, and then 10% of the time, you can just go and be on holiday, etc. And I think I was sort of on the cusp anyway. And then being in the moment with them and having those conversations, I think kind of triggered it. And I was with Nikki, and she I think she contacted you whilst I was there, and she's like, right, can you get my sister on there? And I think she was so determined, and she was like, I think she was a catalyst. If I'd come back, I would have maybe hesitated again, but seeing her and her motivating me and Rahul motivating me, I think that sort of triggered me into sort of joining RNT and sort of taking that leap.
Well, why were you on the fence for so long? Nikki did this probably in 21, 22, then Shivani and Rahul 22, 23.
Exactly. I think it was just sort of, we all have different lifestyles, right? And I was kind of thinking, does it fit my lifestyle? I've got 2 kids. I have a really busy job. I was like, well, can I make it work? Will I be able to make it work? And then, it was Nikki and Rahul saying, look, we all are different. We all have different sort of journeys, but that's the whole purpose of doing this, right? It's understanding how you make this happen, because your lifestyle's not going to change necessarily in the terms of work's always going to be there, kids are always going to be there. So you've got to learn how to manage all of that. And I think that's what it is. That was the sort of trigger point of saying, that's right, I need to make it work for me.
Okay. And when you said earlier on you were still struggling, what were you struggling with?
So I've always struggled with my weight since I was younger. And then I've always enjoyed sort of fitness and as a family, not just my immediate family now, like with my kids and husband, but also with my parents and Nikki and Rahul and Shivani. We've always been a very active family. We've always enjoyed sports, and I've played lots of sports. But I've always struggled with nutrition, and I've sort of not understood how nutrition and sort of physical sort of matched and married together. So I've always sort of been on the heavier side on the heavier side. And after I had my first child, when I was having my first child, I was diagnosed with gestational diabetes, which was a bit of a scary situation because, my diabetes runs in my family and, quite severe in some cases. And I kind of got a bit freaked out by that. So I was like, right, I need to do something, post that. And I sort of started getting on a journey of like, okay, let's do something about it, or, try to maintain fitness, try to make sure I was eating. And I learned a lot during my pregnancy about diabetes because of the fact that I wanted to not be on metformin, which is a tablets, because that was an option, but I wanted to sort of diet maintain. And I realized, certain things were triggering foods and what would spike up the blood sugar levels, etc. So kind of maintained it. And then post having my first child, the gestational diabetes sort of disappeared because it was gestational diabetes, thankfully, and I sort of maintained it. Kind of kept active, but I didn't necessarily lose weight. As you know, with the child, it's harder to sort of get back into it. I went back into work afterwards, and and then I fell pregnant again. With my second child, after I had my second child, I actually had quite a lot of physical trauma as a result of childbirth, which left me basically not walking or ability to walk for at least 3 months after. And I had to have post-natal surgery, which then meant recovery period. And I probably was at my largest I've ever been post the sort of that period. And it sort of completely destroyed my confidence and, like your own sort of self. But I had good support, from the family, from my husband. And, both him and I went on a sort of, let's just try and get healthier at home. So we started getting healthier. I dropped a fair amount of postnatal weight, but I still wasn't at my best. I started getting it back into my physical activities. I started playing squash again. I started sort of doing some weight training at home. And then COVID hit. All that sort of changed. I took up running during COVID because squash was not an option. So I did a sort of 0 to 5K or couch to 5K stuff during COVID. Did a bit of like training at home and all that. And I think that's when Nikki and Rahul sort of started going on the journey post-COVID. And I think it's just been a struggle. And then Nikki sort of helped me a little bit when she was going through post her sessions, and before when Rahul started his, she was just like giving me some tips and just implementing those tips. I realized actually there's so much to nutrition and health that you need to sort of do in a more mindful manner. You can't sort of just be, oh, I'll do this today or I'll do that today. There's no sort of, if you don't understand the bigger picture and stay consistent and sort of create a little bit of a plan, which I've learned through RNT, I don't think you can actually hit that sort of, I guess, that sort of fitness journey that you want to hit. So I think that was pretty much where, like going back to your question, what I struggled with was that it was that sort of ups and downs, like not having a full understanding and not having a full sort of momentum to sort of say what is it that I want to achieve? How do I want to achieve it?
What was the physical trauma you faced from pregnancy?
So I had an episiotomy that sort of broke down and then got infected, and then so I had to let it heal naturally, and then go back in for surgery to have it repaired.
What is that?
An episiotomy is basically during childbirth, where you have to be cut to enable the birth of the child. Yeah.
And that took a 3-month recovery there. It
took a 3-month recovery because once the episiotomy broke down post the baby being born, so within the first week of the child being born, the episiotomy broke down. So I got stitched up, and then the stitches came undone and got infected. Okay. And it took 3 months for it to sort of heal enough for them to go back and then do surgery on. To repair, and then that takes another sort of 12 weeks of recovery.
Okay, wow. And how much weight did you end up gaining in that period?
So I was close to 80 kilos.
Okay, wow. And your height?
5.2.
Okay.
5'2". Yeah. So I was probably the heaviest. I was wearing size. I think I stayed in my maternity clothes post maternity for a good while because it was easy to do that. And that was horrendous. Like that just. I didn't want to be in that situation ever again.
Yeah. And where did you come back down to after you said you and your husband started making some changes?
So I between myself and my husband, we got down to about 70. So I came down to 70 kilos post that. And then just helping with Nikki helping me, I got down to about 65. Just 5 kilos. And I just realized, look, I want to do more of this. Like I just felt a lot more sort of better in myself. But yeah, it needed a lot more sort of, and I think when I started with RNT, I'd come down to about 62 already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're already 62, but haven't been up to as big as 80. Yeah. How did you feel at the different body weights when you were above 60, between 62 and 80?
Vastly different. Like my daughter and I were going through some old photos because we have the Apple sort of photos, and they sort of come on the screen and stuff. And there's a photo of me holding her in one of those child, what's it called, the caboose, you know. So she was only a couple of months old, and I was holding her in the caboose, and I was just standing there, and she goes, "Mom, is that you?" And I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "You're so different." Like she like, and then my older one, obviously a bit more cognizant, she goes, "You're fat." And I was like, "Yeah, I was really big." And she goes, "You're so tiny now comparatively." And we took a photo, and this was when I'd come down to 65 or whatever it is. I held her, and she's obviously now, at the time she was 6.5, 7 now. And I picked her up, and we took the same photo, but her, you know, obviously being much older, and we put it side by side just as a comparison. And she goes, "Oh my God, it's so different." And I was like, you know what? I hadn't, because it's happened over time, you don't even realize it. But yeah, I felt like I could do a lot more with the kids. I could, like, they as they grew older, they wanted to cycle, and I'm not the greatest of cyclists, so I kind of walk or run behind them, but I was struggling to do that, and I wanted to be in a situation where I could do that. So run behind them while they cycle, and be in the park, etc., with them. And I'm at that point where now I tell them to keep up. So,
yeah, I like it.
which is great. And obviously now they're older, they're faster. But they're like, "Mommy, you're doing so well." And it's so great to hear that, from them.
Yeah, brilliant. When you said you were kind of watching from the side as your siblings went on this journey, because you in your head had this narrative that you just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
How did you reframe around that? I know you said that everyone's got different lives, and that kind of helped you make some sense of it. But how did you still go from that to actually doing it and sort of reframing that narrative?
Yeah, I had to make a lot of changes in the sense that I had to think differently. That it's okay to eat different to the family, and actually after a while I realized they don't have to eat different. They can eat what I'm eating, like with modifications. Obviously with the kids, you want to give them a slightly more nutritious food and more variety. But I especially now, like, I've learned so much about nutrition, and I've sort of, the kids have taken it on, and my husband's taken it on as well, like, and also just a lifestyle, like walk with them a bit more, engage them in more physical activity, and sort of build around whatever we need to do. So I invested in sort of weights at home, because I didn't want to, and I remember saying this to Chloe, and Rahul as well. Rahul's like, "Oh, you know what? You're really into your weights. Go to the gym, etc." And I was like, "Well, actually, no. I need something sustainable so that when the kids are at home and when I'm busy and I've got late nights, I can still fit it in. I don't want to be then thinking, I'll have to drag myself to the gym." So I had to sort of mind shift myself to say what works for me. I had to really take a step back and say, what will fit in my lifestyle, and what will I be able to keep going with? I think that's the biggest. I think if anyone's going through this journey, I would say, look, don't make it about short term. Make it about, like, what is going to be easier for you to keep going with. Like, if you're going to power up and go to the gym 50 times in a week just to sort of hit your targets and hit, it's not sustainable. So you want to do it in a way that's, it just becomes your life. Your kids recognize it, your husband recognizes, or your partner recognizes it. It just becomes part and parcel.
Mm. So that was one of the ones, that having a gym set up at home. What else did you think are like the things that really help you make this sustainable, and you feel like you can do this forever?
So the steps, I think that's been a real big change across our family, actually. First, it was, when I was doing this, and Nikki's like, "Oh, you know what? You should be walking a lot more." And I was thinking, "Oh, in London, I walk a lot, right? You go to the tube, you go from place to place, you walk a lot." But I realized I ended up getting a tracker, and I realized I'm only doing like 3,000-4,000 steps, because during the day, when you're working, you're just sitting at your desk. And you can't have that if you're trying to hit 10,000 steps a day. And then I'd end up, like, to make up steps, I'd go out in the evening after dinner or whatever it is, or go, and then it took away me time, or it took away time with my husband, or took time away with the kids. And I was like, I don't really like doing that. There's no motivation. So what we did as a family is I was like, right, guys, we're walking everywhere. So now we go to the shops, we walk, everywhere we go afternoon walks with the kids, just normal trails. When we want to get groceries, we choose the furthest shop and go get groceries and then sort of loop back or whatever it is. But also for work, I've started doing this thing where when I go into work, I get off at tube stop earlier. And then I walk down to the office. I build in the time then, so that is more sustainable. So now that it only adds 15 minutes to my journey, but it gives me by the time I'm at work, I've done 4,000 steps, and so I know I'll do the same 4,000 steps coming back, and then at lunchtime or wherever I'll do a few more. And then that adds up to my 10,000 steps, right? And then if I can add on any more steps in between, I'm bonus. But that means that naturally, I'm doing 10,000 steps a day at a minimum. So that's the kind of changes like we've done. And like we walk to school. My younger one's school is quite close, so we walk to school. And the kids know rain, shine, whatever, mommy's going to walk, and they know there's no sort of, mommy's not going to drive. She's going to want to walk. So that they know that now. So it's become part and parcel of our lifestyle.
Amazing. So you've got the home gym set up. You've got the integrated step routine. What about nutrition? What have you found to be some? What are you doing that you think, right, this is something I can do for years?
So I've started doing a lot of meal prep, and actually meal prep that works for the whole family. So I chop vegetables for the week.
Yeah, okay.
So what happens is I'm the primary cook at home. Although my daughter now is cooking a little bit. My husband cooks as long as he can just shove it in the oven and saute some vegetables. And I said to him, look, his biggest issue is cutting and chopping vegetables. So I said, look, I've done them. I do it for myself. I'll just chop extra. And then what he does is just takes a handful, throws it into a wok and quick saute, or sticks it in the steamer or whatever it is. The whole family knows it's easy access, and there's fruit everywhere. There's berries, there's apples, whatever it is. It's all accessible. And also in terms of nutrition, there's always yogurt at home, high protein yogurts at home, like, the 5A 0% fat yogurt at home. So the kids have learned to sort of also look for that kind of snack. And, when I was starting this journey, I'd sit there with my bowl of yogurt, with my fruit and my almonds and everything. And my youngest daughter, she looked at me, she goes, that kind of looks nice. And I was like, do you want some? And she goes, yeah. So she's sitting there. She goes, I could eat this. Right. And so she's got into it. And my eldest now, when sometimes she takes breakfast on the bus to school because she's up early and she's got sports or whatever it is. And now she takes yogurt with fruit, and we make homemade granola with zero sugar, maple syrup. So it's all, and with peanut butter and all that kind of stuff. So it's good, healthy fats for her and nuts and stuff. And they've all started adopting those little pieces. And it's quite interesting because they've been watching me eat and they've been asking me why I eat this and what's the purpose of this. And now what they do is say, hey, what's on your plate? And they're like, Mommy, where's my protein? And they know protein first, that's become ingrained in them, protein first. So it's quite exciting to hear them sort of, have learned from that. And from nutritionally, I think that's the biggest difference we've done. We've done vegetables at home. We've prioritized protein. They eat what I eat. So they know, like, they've started eating like more salmon and more chicken, more leaner foods, and veg and fruit are prioritized in the house.
Nice. How do you make your granola?
So oats, nuts, peanut butter, and maple syrup. That's it.
And you just
stick it in the oven.
put it in the oven.
Put it in the oven, and tablespoon of coconut oil.
Oh, nice. Tastes good?
Yeah, like very good.
Yeah, amazing. So you said you only just started meal prepping. Is that a new thing then, or did you do it from the get-go? No, from when I started RNT. Firstly, I think it was one of those things where you start learning about it. So when you go through, like, my sisters had told me, listen, meal prep. And I was like, okay, yeah, but how do I meal prep that works for me, right? So I'd get like a lot of chicken and I'd sort of bag it and then I'd cook it every day. And I was like, oh, this is really not sustainable. And throughout, again, adapted it to what works for me. So chopping vegetables in bulk,
started helping. And, I've got quite a demanding job. I'm out of the house by 7:20 in the morning, and sometimes I'm not back until 7:30 in the evening. So taking food with me for the whole day, getting that prepped, making sure I had enough, like the right breakfast, speaking with Chloe and other coaches who work with me saying, hey guys, if you give me eggs for breakfast, I can't cook them before going. So what else can you give me? So having like a yogurt or oats, which I could stick in the microwave or whatever it is. Adapting that, again, back to adapting it for the lifestyle you need. Those are the kind of things that, changed and from a nutrition perspective.
So talk about that. So you've got, at the house 7:20, back home 7:30. What are you doing to meal prep? And also, so maybe share like what's not worked. What things have you tried that's not worked? And then what are you doing that is working that allows you to make it, you're not cooking in the kitchen all day long every day?
Yeah, it's a good point. So what I do in terms of meal prepping is I sort of marinate chicken, for example, for the week, right? And I weigh it all up.
On a Sunday?
Yeah, Sunday or Saturday, whatever, whenever I could get. And that's the other thing. I go to the butcher every weekend with the kids, right? So we get, and it's a walk and all that kind of stuff. And we cut it and knead it as well. And so I can have it weighed as well to what I need. So I marinate the whole batch in some soy sauce, ginger garlic, whatever it is, I can, whatever I'm allowed. And then I portion them into tiny little bags. And then either I'll batch cook all the bags, right? And then put them in little pots, or I'll batch cook, like say if I'm allowed 100 grams per meal, I'll batch cook 5 meals. So I'll batch cook 500 grams, and then I'll portion them into bits. And I'll do the same with the rice, and I'll portion them out. And then the veg, I like to saute them fresh every night. It's kind of like quite satisfactory about coming in and having a little bit of a saute. Then I've got the rice cooked or the potato cooked or parboiled, throw the chicken in because it's already done. And then I just put them back into little pots for the next day. And then I can add extra spices like chilies or whatever it is. Might fancy chili one day, might fancy like, I don't know, Frank's one day, whatever it is. So that's worked. And then same with my breakfast. So I take my breakfast with me. So I weigh out my fruit, I weigh out my yogurts or my porridge or whatever it is, and I take them with me every day. So I have at the office, I have my breakfast, my lunch, and my yogurt snack just before I leave the office. I'm not too hungry by the time I get home. So I kind of timed it, and that was a learning curve, right? Like and I think I had lots of conversations with the coaches about the timing of the food. I needed to be satiated, especially when you're on such low calorie amounts. You do get hungry, and as weather changes, as it gets colder or whatever it is, you do feel hungry. Geez, you feel hungry, right? And when you're sitting there and you're working your brain, you don't realize how hungry you get. And then suddenly at 4:00, you see all these people around you having your teas with your biscuits and snacks and stuff, and you're like, so tempting. Like everything's so tempting because everything's like quite visual, right? Like, and there's snacks in the office, and there's good snacks, there's nuts and whatever, but that's not part of your plan, and that's not really part of the calorie intake. So what do you do? So that's when I reach for my yogurt snack or whatever. So I try it, and I think that's worked. But it took me a while to get into that routine.
How did you break the office habit? Because that's quite a common one. I don't know if it was a habit beforehand or maybe it was a subconscious one.
Yeah, totally. You pick up a couple of nuts and go, it's healthy. It's healthy. Nuts are healthy. They're not salted. They're not sugared. They're just plain nuts. Surely they can't be of any harm. So the first thing I did was when Nikki was helping me, I decided to give up sugar as part of a self-challenge.
So added sugar or like just anything?
So any refined sugars, right, that I could control. Like, for example, no cakes, no pastries, no biscuits. But if there was something in like fructose and in fruit was fine. If I had a slice of toast, but then there was sugar in there, that was okay. But that was
not carbs, just the refined sugars.
Refined sugars. So that helped with the office habit because it was sort of a self-discipline, no sugars.
And how did you tell people at the office?
I said I'm setting myself a challenge to see whether I could give up sugar for a year. And they're like, for a year? Are you mad? I was like, no, I want to do that. I want to try it. And they're like, does that include alcohol? I was like, yes, it's full of sugar. So so I gave up alcohol and sugar for a year to test myself. And actually, that was a really big difference.
What year was this? 23, 24?
23 into 24, yeah. And I saw a big difference, because I think you don't realize when you are in that sort of office habit, right? Go out for a drink with your colleagues, have a drink. Oh yeah, fine, we'll have a drink. Oh, we're getting the team together. And when you get to a senior position, you end up taking your team out quite often. So you eat out, you have a drink, everyone else wants a drink. So they're like, oh, have a drink, have a drink. And you end up taking quite a lot of empty calories that you don't realize. So that helped a lot. And then I also think generally the whole sort of mind frame of people are changing generally in terms of attitude to alcohol and to attitude, especially to alcohol. A lot of people stepping back away from that. Anyway, the people around me, maybe I've changed in terms of people I've hung around, but generally I found that people are very accepting of the fact that they're like, I'm doing this challenge, and they'll be like, oh, when are you drinking again? I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm really kind of enjoying the clean body experience. Like when you guys are up with a groggy head, I'm fresh and having a little sort of run or at least time to myself and enjoying my breakfast. So I think that made a big difference to kicking the office habit.
What other habits have you unraveled where you look now and think, I didn't realize I was doing all these things that were causing me to gain weight or not feel great?
Well, as a new dad, you'll realize when you start weaning your children, you eat their leftovers, right?
Yeah.
And I was very guilty of that. Oh, the kids haven't eaten. Oh, I hate wasting food, right?
Yeah, that's a big one, that one.
It's a big one. So you end up picking and saying, oh, all right, I'll eat your last bit of toast, or don't waste that. Oh, fine, I'll eat it. And also like it's a very Indian mentality. Don't waste your food on your plate. Like, eat everything on your plate. It took me a while to say it's okay not to, right? Like you don't have to do that. And it's great for me because teaching my children not to force themselves or saying you have to finish that. We've actually flipped the narrative and said, take what you can eat, as opposed to eat everything on your plate. And then I've always said, if you want more, then we can always give you more, but let's take what you eat. And so we're kind of adopting that as a family. And then generally we say, look, usually if you portion out your plate, it should be enough for you.
Yeah, the kids one's a sneaky one, isn't it? Because you don't think there's many calories in it. You think, it's only, what's a couple bites of a 2-year-old going to do?
Exactly. But, there's
do that enough times.
Pasta or pizza or whatever they're eating, right? Like it could be like a last bite of like the meat from the bolognese. You don't realize if you do that 3 times a day, every day, it adds up.
So you got the office habits, the kids one. Was there anything else that you noticed on the other side?
I think those were the sort of big ones that I noticed that I was...
Did you have any vices in the evenings? Like when you come back from a hard day's work, you put the kids to bed. Did you have any like wind down vices? I
don't think I had wind down vices. I think it was more sort of coming home hungry. If you're... And this is why I think for me, having that... Like I love my yogurt snack. I cannot even tell you how much I love my yogurt snack. It's like my favorite thing. Just
a simple phage with
it's the fire yogurt with like my protein powder, some berries, and the almond flakes. It's like everyone's the almond flakes. Yeah, I'm super like I love it. My kids love it as well. They'll eat it. I obviously go easy on the protein powder when it's with them. I take it out completely if I can. But people in the office always say to me, "Oh, that just looks so good. That looks just so good." I was like, "It is so good. It keeps me going." So when I come home, because one of the things I used to realize before I started RNT, even during like the calorie deficit, I'd come home from a long day's work and I'd be hungry and I'd be tired. Right. And if you had a meal prep, it's so easy to sort of, the kids are eating or my husband's eating and I just want to eat. Right. And then you start saying, what can I eat? What's healthy? What's not? I used to do that a lot. And whilst my food was cooking, I'd go, or while my food was heating, if I'd cooked for the family, I'd go in and say, oh, right, there's, I don't know if you know chevra, which is like a Bombay mix equivalent, or a cracker, or, oh yeah, I'll just have some more fruit or a few nuts. Again, back to it's healthy. It's picking. Right? Yeah, it's picking. And it's back to the sort of kids thing, right? You pick. And by the time you've eaten your dinner, you've probably had another 200 calories at least, right? And that's not necessarily the best way to do it. So I found that was something I had to watch myself. But I only realized it after I started with RNT, because you have to be so strict with your nutrition that you realize, I was doing that.
What did you do instead? So when your hand was like drawn to your kids' foods, what did you do instead?
I told them, don't let mommy have it.
Oh yeah, nice.
And they were very good at it. My eldest was being like, mommy, you're not allowed that. So I enlisted their help and my husband's help. He goes, you don't need to do that.
Yeah. And what about in the evenings, like dinner time?
So I still find that that's a bit of a challenge, because obviously you're just coming out now into consolidation phase and stuff like that. So I started to put in a new routine when I come in. If I feel like, say I need to put some fish in or whatever it is, I reach for a drink. So I get like my electrolytes out and I'll have a drink, or I'll keep myself busy doing some meal prep, or I'll check for the laundry or something. I'll try and find something else to occupy myself. It could just be like sitting with the kids and sort of going through their homework, or, whatever it might be. Yeah. That
makes sense. What was your body weight at your photo shoot?
50.2 kilos.
Wow, okay. So that's going from 1.80 kilos in your life down to 50. How did that feel when you saw yourself at the shoot?
If you ever speak to Simon, I literally went, I was like, that's not me. I was like, you've done something. I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe that was me. I think I still...
Your smile said it all. There's a massive smile on your face as you threw the showing off the arms. Yeah, I love that shot.
Because for me, that was the biggest thing. It wasn't about becoming slim, which, I think I still have, I think you have body contortion in your head. I don't know if it's a thing, or it's just my interpretation of it. But for me, the biggest win has been the muscle tone.
Yeah, you got a good amount of muscle tone. Yeah, have you been training hard for a while?
Literally, and people won't believe this. I'm laughing because it makes me laugh all the time. People are like, oh, how much do you lift in the gym? And I was like, I don't go to the gym. And they're like, what do you mean you don't go to the gym? I was like, I literally just do the weight training at home 3 times a week. And again, because of sustainability, I don't do more than half an hour, 45 minutes at home, just because I can't. And the fact that I was able to get that kind of muscle tone from doing that, I'm just like, it's the biggest win for me, absolutely the biggest win. And that's what's motivating me to keep going. I really want to have that sort of muscle tone. I love having that muscle tone. For me, it's strength and fitness and overall health. That's just, the biggest sort of achievement out of this process.
What did your kids say, or your husband say when they saw your pictures? Maybe different reactions, but
my kids and my husband, they were laughing because I think at one point when I was sort of training at home and I was wearing a tank top and I flexed my muscle and I was like, look at my muscles, and my kids are like, Daddy, I think mommy's now stronger than you. And my husband's 6 foot, so he's quite tall comparatively. And he's quite athletic. He plays lots of cricket and badminton, and he's very strong naturally.
Your brother's really tall as well, right?
Yes, my brother's 6'1", I think. He's very tall as well.
How did that happen?
My grandmother's tiny. She's 4'9".
That's what it is. Oh, okay, sorry.
So I'm the shortest of the 4 siblings, and so we were flexing, and he said, no, mommy's not stronger. I'm so much stronger, but no, I think it's been well appreciated that mommy's very strong now.
Yeah, amazing. How's the physical being the vehicle for you, Manika?
I always, whenever you ask that question of your podcast, I always wonder, what exactly is the meaning behind that question? And
It's individual.
I guess it's very individualistic, right? Like, how has it been? I think for me, the physical has been, it's more mental than physical, to be really fair. Like, I think this whole journey is very, very much about your individual mentality, right? Like how much you're willing to invest, and what you're willing to invest and what you want to get out of it. So for me, like it's been, making those changes that have been more sustainable. Thinking more like, recognizing habits. How do I kick them? What do I do about them? Then thinking back, like, okay, I do want to be in a situation where you want to be sort of relaxed about life and stuff, do that. But what is it that you want to achieve out of it? It kind of makes you kind of think, what is it that you want out of everything? So I think it's also teaching, it really taught me a lot about myself in terms of my perseverance, my resilience, my willpower. Like at one point, my husband got diagnosed in 23 with pre-diabetes. So I've been telling him, listen, you should do RNT, right? You really should. Like at one point I was like, when we were signing up, I was like, sign up with me. Let's do it together. I think it'd be great if we do it together. Especially because he is so sporty and he is just, given his diagnosis. And I think his biggest challenge is, he goes, I just don't have the willpower you do. I said, but I think, I still am trying to convince him. I was like, I think you can still do it. I said, I'll help you because I do the meal prep anyway. And the rest is it will come because you're sporty, you're active. And it's actually nutrition. And it took me a long time to realize that majority of this journey is about nutrition and how your relationship with nutrition is. So I think that's the key thing. I'm still going to try and convince him, by the way, to do RNT.
Yeah, I was going to say to you, what do we need to do to get him over the line?
I don't know. He just, he at one point he looks at my food. It was quite funny when we started off. He looked at my food. He goes, "How are you going to lose weight by eating so much?" I was like, listen, this is what I'm saying to you. You get lots of food. It's not like you don't get lots of food, and that's been a big learning for both of us. But to be honest, like he is eating a lot more cleaner just naturally because, since I'm cooking, they get to eat what I cook. So naturally he gets to do that, but I do.
It's just all the other bits, isn't it, though? It's like you said, it's like, I think most people kind of eat healthy breakfast, lunch, dinners, like relatively, but it's all the other bits in the day and the picking and the snacking, and that's where the extra couple thousand calories come, right?
Oh yeah.
The lattes and
that's it. I mean, and the thing is, like he's very, because he's always maintained a very good physique anyway because of his sports, and he's very, for him he's a high performance sports person. Like he wants to give his all, and that's what motivates him. So he's always naturally eating clean. But you're right, on a Saturday night he'll be like, "Oh, I fancy fried chicken," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh." That's 1,000 calories right there.
Yeah, exactly. What can you do now that you couldn't do when you were 80?
Well, one, lift, run, I just feel a lot more sort of energetic mentally and physically. I think that's the thing that I feel I could put my mind and try anything, right? And it's also like having that knowledge and security in yourself to say, I know I'm healthy. I know that now, like I've got a good sort of compass in terms of my health, which I don't think I could stand up and say when I was 80, right? I think that's really important, especially like as with a partner who's been diagnosed with the diabetes and the kids growing up. You want to be able to equip yourself and the kids to make sure that they have a sense of like, how do they grow up eating clean and understanding sort of nutrition and their relationship with nutrition, to be able to pass that sort of learning on. I think that's quite invaluable.
Absolutely. What are your goals in the investment phase?
So I want to be, I literally just filled out the questionnaire earlier on this week. I want to be in a situation where I love, like I said, I love my muscle tone. I want to carry on with making sure I have that muscle tone and maintaining the lean physique. But also like with nutrition, I don't want to completely go untracked. I think it's so important to be tracked, right? Like you should know what's going in your body. You should know what's it kind of, for me, it's my own accountability. I think I work better in that manner, but I also want to be able to go out and eat and, enjoy my family time. Because now, like, my kid's like, oh, mommy's not going to eat. She's just going to bring her own food, right? But they want to be out eating with me. Go on holiday and not have to worry about, like, hey, I need to meal prep and carry my food. And I just want to be able to, I call it intuitive eating. It's more sort of sensible eating, right? You eat, but you eat in a way that you can balance your holiday and still enjoy it, and then still sort of be able to sort of remain with your healthy markers.
Yeah, food freedom.
Food freedom. That's it.
The goal. That's the goal. Yeah. That's what I want every RNT to get there.
Yeah. And I'm a big foodie, and I'll tell you all the I have a list of restaurants that I keep. Right, that I want to go try out. And I used to do this before RNT, and like I used to have a list of restaurants, and myself, my husband, and a few friends, we used to like literally tick them off because we'd try them out, and different cuisines. Because I think there's so much in joy in sort of trying out different foods and cultures and stuff. Yeah. So I don't want to lose that, but at the same time, I don't want to lose what I've gained and worked so hard for.
I think learning the skill of eating out without guilt is one of the best ones you can have. And I want everyone to be able to eat out without worrying about the food that they eat, because there's nothing wrong with eating out. It's just you just need to do it in the right way. It's only if you go in there every day having a start, a main, dessert, and a bottle of wine, then you got to expect different. You're not going to expect the results, but you can still go out and enjoy your time. I went to my favorite restaurant in London at the moment is Tofu Vegan.
Is it? Okay. No, I haven't. Really I've heard of it.
Yeah. I know, so I've been there quite a few times. And yesterday I walked in, and the old lady who like, I think she's the manager, I don't know, it's the one I always see, said, "Nice to see you again here, sir." I thought, I must have been coming here too much.
It is funny, like now, like, because I have, like I said to you, I have to take my, there are times where I have to take my teams out for dinner and whatever else, right, as part of it. It's funny now, I actually choose restaurants that cater for my needs. Like I want to have something, at least one dish that will have, that I know I'm going to enjoy, but will be balanced, right? So I'll make sure that it's like protein rich with very little sauces, or sauces I can ask for a size and sort of make it up myself. Because if you're doing it often, then you want to do that. But obviously once in a while, you want to just go and eat whatever you want to eat, like you want to go and have that fried prawn, whatever it is, because you want to try it. But, ultimately, like I found that I'm leaning more and more towards choices of restaurants that are cater for grills and things like that, which make it much easier for you to enjoy the food and then still balance your diet.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you want to feel good after eating out, and it's when you feel bad after eating out in terms of like it's heavy, it's very oily. Exactly. Then you're not going to feel good, and that's when it's detrimental. But if you feel good afterwards, then. And nowadays, with the healthy consciousness around a lot of restaurants, I think it's very easy. Cool. Manika, what almost kept you from starting your journey?
I think, like I said to you, it was more about the hesitation of, could I make it work?
Would it work for you?
Yeah. I think that was the only reason I was hesitating.
So speaking to someone now who's thinking of starting in 2026, but has the same concern, busy job, 2 kids, or whatever things are that may be on the list, what would you say to them?
It's very doable, right? You adjust it, and I'll tell you what I found really helpful is the coaches will fit to your needs, right? They'll adjust your nutrition, they'll adjust your exercising, etc., according to your lifestyle. So I'd said early doors, to Chloe and I think Max was my coach for a bit as well, that I wasn't going to go to the gym, right? I couldn't eat eggs in the morning. I couldn't cook eggs. I hate eggs cooked the night before in the fridge. It just doesn't do it for me. And I want it to be sustainable. So what they adjust it and they work with you. And I think that's really important, because if you don't realize that this is as much up to you how much you put into it, you're not going to get out of it, right? So, and the recommendations I got from example, from Chloe and Max in terms of, hey, look, if you're going to work out at home, you might want to get some adjustable dumbbells, for example, right? And you start investing in that, and you do. And then I wanted it to be, sustainable. And I did. I invested in it. Yeah, it costs, but actually, if you're investing in yourself, it's a small price to pay, because for the longer term, that's your health benefit. So I would say, look, it doesn't matter what your lifestyle is. It really just does work around what you need it to do, because life is not going to slow down to make this change.
Amazing. Well, you smashed it this year. I'm looking forward to seeing your progress as you continue to get more toned, more strong, and hopefully continue to outpace your children.
Exactly. I am determined to run faster than my eldest can ride her bike.
Yeah, I love it. Are you going to do any races?
No, I don't. I'm very much a 5-6K runner, and that's enough for me. Like I'm more than happy, because I much prefer to be on the squash court or doing the weight training at home, or I'll do a HIIT for 30 minutes, and that's more my style. Like short, sharp bursts.
Yeah, fair. Okay, amazing. Thanks so much for sharing your story, Manika. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.